Hey YouTube, welcome new people probably. This is a guitar I'd imagine is probably going to be quite a high hitting video, so I'm going to talk less than I normally do. Normally my videos are really long and I talk an awful lot of rubbish. Right, so this is an Epiphone Les Paul SL. Does it have a year on it? 2018, so relatively new. You can still get these. I just looked it up online there. I'm sure they were like £100 when they came out. They're 130 now though, so maybe I don't know whether they've improved them or whatever. So what we've got is the cheapest Epiphone, I suppose. It comes in different colours. I actually, when I first saw the yellow one, I thought, oh, that's quite interesting. Quite like the yellow one. This is the black one. So what we've got is a very lightweight. I could wait. I'm going to do this video in a few parts. The reason I've got this is I was watching Octopussy the other night. It's a property of a lady, like was mentioned in that for the Fabergé egg. The jack socket, she said, always crackled, and she didn't mention the fact that the switch was completely broken off. So I've replaced the jack socket and the switch in it. I've done a video of that. That would be part 2. I'm thinking I might do a part 3. I was talking about putting in a series switch, which would wire these two pickups as a humbucker because they're both opposite wind. If you try and stick a pickup to it, sticks to that one, doesn't stick to that one, which means that they're both opposite wind, which means that in the middle position it'll be hum cancelling, which is a sensible way of doing it. So 2 single coil pickups, volume, tone, 3-way selector. Quite a thin body. I think that's thinner than the Epiphone Studio, not Studio. What's the one I've got through next door? Can't remember. The Les Paul Special. I think it's thinner than the Special. It's definitely lighter, bolt on neck, made in China. It doesn't have a lot of paint on it. It's like, I don't know if I can hold it up at the right angle. You can actually quite visibly see the grain through it. It's just been very lightly sprayed. You can see it in the headstock as well. Yeah, you can see it. It's kind of like it kind of looks like one as well. It's sort of like what I think Dan Electros used to be. I would have bought a Dan Electro if they'd stayed at the price they should have. The idea of just kind of making it really basic, but still giving you a decent guitar. The problem I have with Dan Electros is when they reissued them, they were really expensive, which kind of defeats the purpose of what they originally meant to be. So I said I was going to stop talking, but it didn't work. Yeah, so there we go. So I'll give you some sounds. This is just basically, I've just replaced the switch because it was broken, and the jack socket because it was broken, not done anything else to it. So as a beginner guitar, fret ends are maybe a little bit sharp because I'm used to much more expensive guitars, but it's not bad. It's not lacerating my fingers, so that's fine. Not really any buzzes to be seen. This is the bridge pickup, single coil. Neck pickup. And then both pickups. So I think, as far as it goes, this is, I think, pretty much out the box, even though it's a couple of years old. I think the strings that were on it might have actually been the original strings. When I was given it, it's like, you change the strings, I don't like changing the strings, so it's definitely not been set at by somebody like me, adjusting it. I mean, there is some, I could spend some time on it if it was mine, and I could lower the nut a wee bit. It's not bad, it's not unplayable, it could be better, but this is a £120 guitar. It's got a wraparound bridge. I like the wraparound tailpieces. Actually, some of the guitars I've got the best sustain. I've got a wraparound bridge. Nice and simple. Not really much you can do to mess about with it. I suppose you can raise it up and down to raise and lower your action. Looking at it as a truss rod. The truss rod's pretty good. Actually, everything's sort of fine. The action would be a tad high, but not in no way unplayable. It's set up better than a few Epiphones I did last year for one of my friends who bought one, and I made him send it back, and then he bought another one, a more expensive one. I think it was like a £600 one, Les Paul. And it's like, this is set up the same as this one is. I suppose you can't set it up for, you know, there's a bit of an adjustment to taste type thing. You know, this at this level, it's like, if you're an acoustic player or you like using slide, this is perfect. If you're going to be doing the metally shreddy stuff, you want a lower action. But if you put the lower action on the guitar from new and then give it to an acoustic player, it'll all just buzz out. So they've got to kind of go for a compromise. I think this is slightly on this country acoustic side. You know, it could come down a little bit. Not much though. All in all, it seems to play really well. It's light and it's cheap, but I like cheap guitars. I like cheap guitars that are cheap for the reason, and it's like, the reason is they've not put very much paint on it. There's not very much electrics in it. It's just 2 single coil pickups mounted onto the scratch plate. That makes it cheaper. It's a bolt-on neck makes it cheaper, and it's like, I don't know what the fingerboard's made of. Oh, I'm not actually even sure the fingerboard's wood. Not that these things matter. It plays alright, it plays good. As I said, we're going to do a longer video. I'm kind of not wanting to bend the strings too much, so I just put these on. No matter what you do. The tuners are that kind, which aren't actually, they're not what I would class as the good type of tuner, but because this guitar's relatively new, they're totally fine. I think it's the sort of thing that if you were going to be doing extensive touring and, you know, in 10 years time, they might start to get a little bit crunchy, but tuners don't make any difference to the sound of the guitar. As long as they don't go out of tune, I don't change them generally. I think a lot of people buy these as a sort of modding platform. Quite easy to, maybe not quite so easy to put a humbucker in. Mind you, if you put a humbucker pickup ring on it, you probably could, but I mean, you could put like a hot rail in here or something like that, and the switch that I'm going to put in is going to wire the two of these together as a humbucker, so it'll be, I've not exactly worked out exactly how that's going to work, but it can be done. I've done it before, just not on this exact layout. There's a way around it. I'm just going to put a wee mini switch in somewhere, probably there. There's plenty of room here for switches and stuff. You could even put in like a second volume and second tone if you fancied messing about with these things. As a beginner's guitar, perfect. It's kind of weird that the other beginner's guitar that I would recommend, I like, actually one of my big hit videos is the Yamaha ERG one, but if you're going for the sort of the ones that you want to be able to sell later as well, the Squier Bullet Mustang is one of my favourites. Partly because it comes in blue, but also it's just a really nice wee guitar. This is kind of the same sort of thing, apart from it's a Gibson type version of it. What's quite weird is this is the 2 single coil pickups, which is what I would have expected in the Squier Mustang. It's got 2 humbuckers, so I would have thought you'd put the humbuckers in this and the single coils in the Squier, but the way around. So I'll stick a wee loop in, a wee bit of jamboree over the top. Sounds good enough. I should really be using a cheaper amp. I recommend the wee Black Star ID Core. It's really good. I've got one of them, but I'm using my old cheap Laney coming through a 3x12 because it's there. No pedals on just now. That's both pickups, now the neck. Bridge pickup. Rats pedal. Try to use a cheap pedal. It's the Mosky Rats, only like I paid 12 quid, I think it was 15 quid, something like that. So for a bit more distortion. Both. Yeah, so I recommend it. Great little guitar, really light. I think as a beginner's guitar, just it's almost worth the point. I mean, I always buy used guitars, but that's because I can fix them up myself. If you're going to be looking at guitars at the sort of cheaper end and you're buying them second hand, and you don't really know how to set them up and stuff, it might just be a safer bet to buy one of these. I don't think you'll lose that much money on it. What did I say, 130 quid new? So I think you're talking about buy it, keep it for a year or two, and you'll probably get like 90 odd quid back for it later, which you can't really grumble. That's one of the things that I'm against with the Yamaha ERGs. They are like the same sort of price, 120, 130 new, but 6 months later they're worth 40 or 50 quid. So that's assuming you're ever going to sell it. It's a weird one. I like it. I love the two single coil pickups. It's really given it especially with both of them on. I mean, I think that's a fantastic sound. It's got that. You can really strum this guitar like an acoustic. What I really should mention as well is this is with the volume off. It's really loud, unplugged. Which I think, again, if you're a beginner, that's probably a really good thing. You don't really need to have an amp, really. And I can sing over that. It's like I've actually got a guitar called a Teleacoustic. It's not really that much louder than this. I think that might just partly to do with whatever the wood it's made out of being. It's definitely not plywood or MDF or anything like that. It's you can see the grain in it. It weighs nout, and I think the fact that the paint is really, really, really thin, I don't even know if you could call it paint, it's more like just a sort of a very light staining, makes it dead resonant, so it's really springy and bouncy, really responsive, almost like an acoustic. So check back during the week, like and subscribe. I never say that, but if you do that, then I've done the video where I replaced the switches, or replaced the switch and the jack. Did that yesterday, so it'll be like a sort of time travel episode, so I put that out later on in the week. And what was the other thing I was going to say? Yeah, I'll do the other. I'm going to put, as I said, the other switch in it, and by that point I'll maybe do a little bit of a tinkering with the action and stuff like that. It's not bad though, and it plays all the way up, which is not the same that can be said for all new guitars you buy. Again, maybe it might be a little bit your luck. I don't know. Maybe some of them come out bad. I don't know. But this one certainly good. And if I was buying it, I'd buy the yellow one, I think. So rocking. Catch you later. Les Paul, or is it actually a Les Paul? It is. It's actually a Les Paul. It says Les Paul in the headstock. So there you go. You're actually buying an actual Les Paul for 120 quid, 130 quid. You can't argue that it's not a Les Paul because it's got Les Paul written in the headstock. So it is. Even though Les Paul with single coil pickups doesn't seem to scan, but rocking dope, not with single coils. Catch you later.